Recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of our brand new podcast called Coffee with Cass. This is the podcast for you if you want to thrive in all areas of your life. So if you want more love, you want to create conscious relationships, if you want more prosperity, better health and well-being, this is the place to be. So my guest today is Devan Naidoo. And Devan and I have been chatting for a while, and it seems like we're very much on the same page in terms of our discussions. And he founded a group on Facebook called Infinite Soul. The most amazing conscious quotes, posts in that group. So you can follow that group as well. Welcome, Devan Naidoo.
Yes, so lovely to be here. Finally, we're here.
Yes.
Wonderful.
We
Wonderful.
And our topic today, is something that both of us have been talking about for a long time. And we want to talk about the masculine and feminine energies. What are they? What they look like when they're balanced, what they look like when they're excessive, when they're wounded, and how that impacts in relationships, right? So Devan, do you want to kick it off with what does a balanced masculine energy look like for you?
Balanced masculine energy is not a taking energy. It is a flowing, giving energy. And it is a harmonizing force. I find that the terms, you would find it as well, divine masculine, the divine feminine, are coming up more and more and more. But the understanding of what that actually means isn't quite there, because we're still trying to fit masculine and feminine into this very third dimensional gender masculine and feminine that we've experienced our entire lives. Beyond that, there is something else. And we regard, if you're a male, you regard the feminine as something separate from yourself, and so forth. However, the harmonizing of the two within yourself is the place that you want to get to. It is the sweet spot. That's where beautiful things happen. It's the fertile soil that we want to have so that the seeds that we plant can grow healthily.
Absolutely. I think the starting point is for everyone to realize it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you have both masculine and feminine energy within you.
Absolutely.
Right? Starting point.
You and I have touched on this before. I think a lot of the issues and the resistance come from the name, masculine and feminine, because we don't see it as a higher level. We see it on the very physical level of male and female. And we know that this is a patriarchal society. It's been built like that for eons. So it's created this false perception that the masculine is superior to the feminine, because we look at it only in these third dimensional terms. Now, let's not get away from the fact that there are physiological differences between us. Men are physically stronger. Hence, they were the fellas that went out and hunted the saber-toothed tiger and protected the tribe and all of that there. Women, however, were generally your healers. They were your heart-centered people. Now transmit that from the physical form into an energetic form. And we realize that while the male energy has accomplished these magnificent things in the world, we've built these fantastic machines and cities, and we've gone to the moon and all of that there. It is the driver spirit that's within us. However, when that ego, when that masculine is not in check, is not in rein, it runs wild and it causes havoc. I firmly believe that our guidances from where we're going in our lives, where our spirits go, where all of these things go, have to be driven from the feminine energy side. It's the purpose side. It's the nurturing, the love, the caring. Now, the paradox for men is that we've been led to believe that that is not our place. That nurturing and that is a sense of weakness, which is absolute nonsense. It's limiting us. We kind of like a three-legged table. there's this very critical balancing point that is not there. And the integration of such is harmonized. It brings together the physical, the ego part of our lives, which we can often put in a category of bad. However, put in its place, the ego can be a very willing servant. It can accomplish things, but with what direction? The ego is not a driver, it's a doer.
Yeah, I'm
shouldn't be
that up, because the ego, if we really understand it, we understand that the ego is born out of trauma. So there's something that happens in our lives, and in that moment, all we want is to survive, to be safe. So the ego is born to keep us safe. So it always is in the known. It's do things this way because this is how we've always done it. And I'm glad you spoke about the ego in terms of excessive masculine energy, because that is the time when, the excessive masculine shows up initially as very charismatic, but the focus is on the material. It's who I am, as everybody else can see me, what I own, who I can control. And when that masculine energy does not get their way, then they become quite abusive, controlling. And that is what needs to be tempered to bring us into a more balanced masculine energy, because that energy is dangerous in relationships.
It's dangerous. It's like handing a loaded weapon to a child, because you do not have in a masculine space the emotional intelligence to control this and to bring it to its full potential. There's so much more that it can do when it is beyond the self. Often we'll hear speakers speaking about what is your why. The masculine's energy why is generally himself, itself. When the why becomes greater than you, the glass ceiling breaks, and so much more is possible. You're capable of so much more, with so much more divine guidance. And that is when the world gets better. Life changes, relationships get better. The attraction points that we have in our lives get better. We attract better to ourselves. Yes. All this, I was thinking about something. And this is the analogy that I came up with, is that the masculine energy is doer energy. And the feminine energy is guidance energy. And I think of it like a ship. And the captain of the ship has all the skills. He's learned. He knows how to steer that ship through rough waters. He knows how to navigate the rocks and all of that there. That's the skills he's built up throughout his life. However, he's not the best person to give direction to that ship. And that's where the surrender has to go to the navigator. And I regard the navigator as being the female, the feminine energy within oneself. I want to build this magnificent thing. Why? Do I want to build it so that I can get accolades, so that I'm seen better? Exactly what you just touched on. Or do I want to build this for the service of the greater? Then the giving is limitless. Then it can be compounded and multiplied. People can be added to that. And meaningful change can happen. We know we're not living in a perfect world. We know, I mean, there's very few people that can say, I'm absolutely content with the way things are going.
Right. So we're saying that the masculine is the thinking, it's the mind, it is analytical, it is about taking action, it's giving, it is, setting the direction, creating structure, creating safety. That is what the masculine is, right? In its balanced state. So let's look at the feminine then. In its balanced state, the feminine is nurturing, it's highly creative. And in order to create anything, you need feminine energy, right?
life is
It's
from the
receptive.
female.
Yes,
From the
absolutely. But it is receptive energy. And I find a lot of women today, look, the women I work with are generally women that are highly professional, they only own businesses and things. And I find that the majority of women in the work world today have dominant masculine energy. So you're spending all day, every day, making decisions, setting goals, strategizing, driving, and they're very giving. And in the giving, they don't realize that that is a masculine energy.
And even they've been put in that box where they
Yes.
have to fit into a system where if you're going to do this, this is how you have to be. But I think we need to break that system. And she has the power to do so. You'd also see that this imbalance in these women of influence and power is unhealthy, really. Just as unhealthy as the excessive masculine forces. I believe in the number 5. And here's my definition of the number 5. If one regards 1 or 0 as extreme masculine and regard number 10 as extreme feminine, you have immense power on one side without direction. And on the other side, you have magnificent intention without the power to put into form. And I believe number 5 is where we need to be, where the harmonizing of the two is that I can draw on my feminine when I need to, and I can draw on my masculine when I need to, regardless of whether I'm female or male, in gender, in physiology. And that's where the good decisions come from. That's where the heartfelt decisions, that's where the purposeful decisions and actions come from. That masculine energy is there. The masculine, he has a shield and a sword. You can either use that sword to destroy or you can use it to protect. He's been using it to dominate and destroy for a long time because that's how he's been conditioned. It happens in subtle ways in our families where boys get exalted over girls. We know this in culturally, it's happened. And those little subtle reinforcements of this really false status quo have built all of these structures which keep us separate, where we should be harmonized.
Absolutely. And I think, when we have the harmony between the masculine and feminine within ourselves, then we have the ability to drop into the heart space, which is feminine, to use our intuition, to create communities, to take action in a way that it is for the greater good of all. And that is what's missing in our world today. It is for personal gain more than the greater good of all. So when we create these communities and we go within and we get into the heart space, now we're creating from the feminine energy, but we need to bring in the masculine energy to now take action and bring it, as you say, into this 3D world. We need the masculine energy. So one is not better than the other. It's just that we've been too much in our masculine energy and we've suppressed the feminine energy. Even women, we have suppressed our feminine energy because we believe that we have to show up in a certain way in the work world. With the power suits, and we've got to be at meetings, we've got to be louder, and we've got to really prove that we belong there. Whereas the feminine energy is about building together, harmonizing. Yes. Like you say, I like that word so much, the harmonizing.
Let's look at that environment. Let's take this business environment, for instance. Female enters this, feminine energy enters this. And she is now forced to do something completely unnatural to her blueprint in order to make it in this space. Because of the obstacles that have been placed in her path through this very patriarchal system. What can we do as men in this environment, for instance, to remove those blockages? That is a question that the divine masculine can answer. Because the divine masculine is not a taker, he's an includer. He's a server. He's saying, come and join, make us better. I will lift you in the areas that I'm strong. I will bring you up and share my skills with you, share my knowledge. At the same time, please share your heart with me. Give me the direction that I need for purpose. Help me ignite that within myself. And that is critically the block, I think, that's faced in that environment.
Yes, yeah.
Because what are you losing when you do this? Is it because of the promotion? If that's the deal, you're missing the point. You're absolutely missing the point. Because if that feminine energy is better suited for that place, the outcome will be better. That's my take.
I see it as, the riverbed being the masculine energy. It's got the structure.
Wonderful, yeah.
And the water, the river, the water that flows through is the feminine energy. The masculine is
such a brilliant analogy.
Yes.
Such a brilliant analogy.
So I think now there is a call for the divine masculine energy to come up in support, to create that structure, to create the safety and the space for the feminine energy to rise up again. If we go back in history, thousands of years ago, the feminine energy on our planet was actually dominant. That was where at the goddess worship. And then if we look at like the last 2000 plus years of our lives, the masculine energy has been dominant. So when you look at it like a pendulum, we've gone from one extreme to the other extreme. So now we are coming into an era in human evolution where we need to bring these two energies into balance. Like you say, the number 5, right? We need to bring those two into balance so that they harmonize. And then we as individuals come into a space of wholeness. I am masculine and feminine. I bring those two together, and then I allow my most authentic, radiant, magnificent self to shine because I have claimed both of those energies within me. So I'm not, I always also say we need to watch the excessive feminine as well, because excessive feminine energy is manipulative, is the diva, the drama queen, I will get everything my way, come what may, use it.
In every one of our lives, we've experienced this. You know that your mom would push certain buttons to get you to do what she did, she wanted you to do.
Yes.
There's the emotional strings that are tugged. This is the flip side of the coin. I think it's happened to all of us, right? Especially if you're an Indian person, it's happened to you. But it's more subtle and it's harder to identify and can often be masked in the same way that, call it reverse narcissism if you want, or the flip side of the thing. Because while the man will manipulate in other ways, make you feel insecure, things like say, you need me. That's why I gotta be around. You're not good enough to be on your own. So you'll fall down if you don't have this. What he should be saying is, let me empower you to be like this. And let us meet at that point.
Absolutely.
She, in the same way, let me empower your heart. Raise yourself so we may meet at this point. And magic happens. Now let's look at the microcosm. Let's take it from 2 individuals and place that within oneself. That's exactly what we got to do inside ourselves. It's, for me, I tell you what, I've been on this journey. Well, I don't think you can speak authentically if you haven't. The things that were faced in this entire process of moving towards number 5, I took on nothing. I released a huge amount. The release allowed what was always there to come through.
Oh, 100%. I love that you said that, because I always feel we are not broken. There's nothing to fix, right? All we have to do is release all that is inauthentic, all that is not ours, that darkness, the pain, the trauma, all of that. It's just layers and layers that we've put over ourselves. I look at it like a light bulb. You are this radiant light bulb. That's what you are. But you have an experience when you're 5 years old and you feel this trauma, somebody scolded you, and a layer of dust goes onto this light bulb. And then teenage years, there was somebody you loved, they didn't love you back, another layer of dust goes onto this light bulb, and layers and layers and layers, but inside you are still that light. So all we have to do is we have to start clearing out those layers of dust, allow that authentic self to radiate, to shine.
It just radiate and shine. Make no mistake, it's beautiful, it's butterflies and it's unicorns and all of that there. You got to do the work. And I'll tell you this much from person, I can speak as an authority because I came from the masculine into the balance. There is no more terrifying place for a man than inside himself. He will go out and fight wars and put his body on the line, life on the line. He will risk it for his family, his children, and all of that there. It's what he's built for. The part he's not built for is the part that the feminine is. The fear of going inside you and possibly finding something I really don't like. And we are so ego-based that when that happens, it shakes your foundation. Who am I if I'm not this person? You are who you are. Allow that person to come through. You will lose nothing and gain everything. None of your skills, none of your power, strength, any of these things will be lost. It will be enhanced tenfold, a zillionfold, because now you've got this drive, this buoyancy under you that is not like the physical life of struggle. You are being lifted by a lighter energy. And that's how it is. On the flip side, what can the masculine do for the feminine?
Yeah.
How can he, within himself, allow her the freedom to be absolutely who she is without fear of judgment and of retribution and things like that? Judgment, the fear of judgment is a huge thing in all of our lives. Nobody wants to be seen as not fantastic because there's a dependency on my self-worth that is generated from the outside. How Cass sees me becomes how I see myself. So if I want Cass to see me fantastically, there might be things in me that I need to alter and perhaps not be so authentic anymore. And authenticity is the key.
Or maybe hide. There's parts you hide, yeah.
I've done it. I've done it in my life. The hiding part was the death knell. It was the thing that brought all the issues. The question was, why did I have that need to hide? Because I had created, me personally, this idea of who Devan is. Where does Devan get his validation from? Things like that. And all of a sudden, when that's shaken a bit, Devan's not so sure of who he is anymore. So he goes into this cocoon phase. But in that cocoon phase, yeah, you protected in a bit, but also nothing can get in. The light can't get in, the knowledge can't get in.
Right.
The openness, the love.
Yeah.
So the walls we put up to protect ourselves are also the walls that keep things out.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And
absolutely. Yeah. We say we want love in our lives, but we have this big shield or wall up here that's saying, I don't want to get hurt. So I'm keeping the hurt out. You're also keeping the love out.
Yes, here's a curve.
Yeah.
Amongst all of this, I found I had to redefine what is unconditional love. And I did pretty much a complete 180 on this. Because unconditional love for me in a relationship, in a friendship means I love you enough to want the best for you, even if it does not include me. It means I'm not dependent on your love to validate me. The giving of such is far greater, far more empowering than the receiving. And you know what? When you give, what do? You open in your heart.
Yes. And then
And
that's
when you open your heart, what does it do?
giving.
It all
Yeah.
stuff to come in.
And then we also have to open our hearts to receive,
To
right?
receive.
The feminine.
That
Yes.
just is another minefield. I don't know if you've come across people. Once again, I can refer to myself. Had a problem receiving. Why? Couldn't figure it out. Back to the level of I need to give more to be loved more.
Right.
Not give for the sake of giving, for love's sake. But I need it because that's how I feel I'm going to get it back.
Yeah. And I think, living consciously is observing ourselves and being aware of when we're playing these games with ourselves. And, like we said, it's not about fixing yourself, but it's about observing, where am I keeping love out of my life? Or where am I keeping prosperity out of my life? So when we go within, that is us. It's the feminine energy goes within. The masculine energy goes outside, right?
Yeah.
That's the time when we don't want to go within and feel what's going on inside of us, like you just said, then it can express outwardly as addictions. So we smoking, we're drinking, we're taking drugs, we're watching Netflix, 10 hours a day. We're on YouTube all day, or we are watching porn and stuff like that, because all these things on the
What are my distractions?
Yes, but we're trying to fill the emptiness inside of us. So we're using these things to fill us up. Whereas, and sugar and food addictions become huge today. So I think, when we really embrace the feminine energy, it allows us to go within us and not see emotions as good or bad, but see emotions as a message for us. Because we want to feel love, we want to feel joy, we want to feel happiness and peace and all of those emotions, but we don't want to feel sadness. We don't want to feel the shame, the guilt, all of that we carry inside of us. But that sadness has a message for you. So if we can just say, I'm prepared to sit here for the next 15 minutes and feel the sadness, that is you going within you. Now, I don't need to go and eat the chocolate cake to stuff down the sadness. I can actually sit with it and feel that emotion. That is your feminine energy. It's going in, it's feeling that, it's saying, why are you here? What is the message that you have for me? And once you sit with it and allow it, and you take the message that it has for you, that sadness will dissipate all on its own. You don't have to push.
I caught myself the other day being judgmental. What it did for me was it disrupted my energy, for one. So I knew something was wrong. So that said to me, why are you being judgmental in this scenario? Go and look, which is what I did.
Yeah.
And we didn't paper over it. We didn't stick it in a box and put it on the shelf. It was dealt with and alleviated. I needn't carry that baggage anymore. It was over a silly thing. I can't even remember. But I found myself holding a judgment over something or somebody I can't even remember. Then I have to ask myself, why? Because that judgment is no good for me. In this place of giving, paradoxically, I believe, you must become selfish with your energy.
I like that. Yes.
Selfish with your energy, and it doesn't mean a bad thing. Because if I'm saying, you see the analogy, spend your energy the way you do your money. And we think initially, it's about who am I giving my energy to? But also, where am I placing my energy within myself?
Yes.
Am
And
I
what
putting
energy that you're surrounding yourself with as well.
that?
Yeah. So
Because
this is
you
where
will draw to.
boundaries come in. You know, we
Here's another analogy.
clear boundaries.
Two statements. Opposites attract, like attracts like. Which one's right? This is what I figured. Opposites attract, third dimensional. You will draw to you that which is going to bring you lessons. On the energetic higher level side, call it the fifth dimensional space, which I've experienced firsthand. Like attracts like. You draw to you the vibration that you are exuding, not what you are lacking. It's two sides of the coin.
Yes.
Think of the yin yang symbol.
Oh, but you know, you just explained that perfectly, because when we're looking at masculine, feminine energies, we see the opposites attract, right? So when it is excessive masculine attracts wounded feminine. So this is the abuser and this is the victim. These two are drawn together, right? The excessive feminine, who is the manipulative drama queen, attracts the wounded masculine who can't make decisions. You know, he doesn't know who he is. He's quite lost. So she dominates, takes control. So this is where the opposites attract comes in. But like you're saying, when we come into balance and harmony and we're moving into that fifth dimensional, now it is balanced masculine drawing in balanced feminine.
Absolutely.
And what an amazing relationship that would be, right?
And it transcends, you know, your personal, your physical relationships, your love relationships, romantic and otherwise. It goes back to your relationships with your children, to your friends, to colleagues, to absolutely everyone. I've got to say, I love everybody. I may not like everybody all the time. I give myself permission to that. But I make a conscious energy to love everyone, to exude love from within myself. Now, it seems a bit of a mind-boggling thing. You know, how can you not like me but still love me? I may not like what you did, your actions that day, and I don't have to go along with it. If I can speak my truth without fear of you not liking me anymore, because that's what it comes down to, then I'm being authentic. And within that, yes, you read all the time, as you elevate, people will fall away and all of that. That doesn't mean they're lost forever. It just means they're in a certain place that doesn't resonate with you. And the best we can do for everybody is to shine that light and say, hey, here's a light I'm shining on this road. You may not know where you're going, but I've been through this. Here it is for you. I give without the expectation of receiving, by just being authentically me, by just being present here.
Yes. So true. So true.
You know?
Right now, what I find is when I look at the people on my programs, the consciously creating epic relationships or radical self-love, I see that it is for every 3 women, there's 1 man.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that what's happening with the men that are coming forward to do this kind of work are experiencing massive transformations. It's like for the first time in their lives, they're getting a chance to think about who they are, how they show up, what is it they want, and to actually do the inner healing work. And the transformations are just so huge. And, you know, the reason like I wanted to connect with you so much is because I feel that you're the person to shine that light, or to be that light for men to actually step forward to do this work.
And you don't have to surrender any part of yourself. Why are you talking this? My relationship with my son comes into play, where we could sit and watch a soccer match and be absolutely male. and scream and jump around and shout at the coach. And at another point, if his heart's broken, we can cry together. If I'm in pain, we can do that. I've not surrendered any of that masculinity.
Yes.
The typical.
Yes, you don't ever need to.
We don't need to be mutually exclusive.
Yes.
They're not in opposition.
Yeah. It's not, it's competition between the one and the other, but it is inclusive. It's about
inclusive. Now, let's go back to that yin yang symbol. It's got the black and you've got the white, right? Let's just imagine for a second that one was oil and one was water. And when left alone, they sit in their nice shapes. But when you shake them up, the little bubbles of oil go into the water and so on and so forth, it's still elements of masculine and elements of feminine. But now, instead of keeping a fine line between them, they're fluid. They flow into one another where they need it. Think of that as an analogy of how this energy balance has to happen inside of ourselves. I go back to a quote that I first heard, read in the Tao. Be like water. Water takes the form of whatever is there in its path. If there's a rock in the stream, the water finds its way around it. Doesn't try and conquer the rock. It allows it to be. They exist just like that riverbed, in the same space at the same time. Take away the pebbles on the riverbed, and that water is seeping. And it's not reaching the valley below. Take away the water, and all the pebbles are pebbles. There you go.
All right. So, Devan, to bring this to a close, this has been such an interesting discussion. And I think we need to talk a lot more about the masculine and feminine. But let me ask you this one question. If, for some reason, this were your last day on the planet, not to be morbid, what message would you like to leave behind for everybody in your life or anybody watching this to take from your life?
You threw me there on the spot. One of those deep introspective questions, Kes.
Yeah, these conversations are unscripted.
I'll try and do that justice. I'm probably 10 minutes after we're done, I'm probably going to think of more things, but perhaps we'll touch on it the next time. The most beneficial thing that has happened in my growth and experiences, when I didn't resist, flow happened. That's the crux of it. Don't resist. And when you find that resistance, go and investigate it. Go and see, why am I resisting? And energetically, you'll know. Be like water.
Be like water. Yes. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Devan, for your time, for coming on. And, I want to have lots more conversations with you. So, if you're still listening to this and you want to thrive in all areas of your life, more love, more prosperity, better health and well-being, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you'll know every time there's a new video, and share it with somebody.
Thank you, Kes. Wonderful being here. Wonderful being here at the birth of something very special. That's going to bring great value.
Thank you so much, Devan. Take care then.